Hello everybody, I'm Koch, the author of The Supply Chain Revolution, Unlocking the Sustainable Profit Chain. I want to take a minute and I'm doing a series of videos on each chapter of 2 or 3 minutes to kind of talk about some of the high points of the chapter and just go through some things from my point of view. So the first chapter is how to navigate this book. And I know you're probably thinking, why the heck do I need to have a chapter on how to navigate this book? Well, I did some things a little bit different. The first thing to understand and realize, or the process that I went through, is I focused on process integrity, people development, and understanding in order for supply chain to be successful and to turn it from a cost center to a profit center, there takes management and leadership commitment to the organization, throughout the organization, to supply chain, to make sure they have a voice within the organization and their mission is being understood. So that's extremely important, and I work to carry that through the entire book. The second thing is, I'm an avid scuba diver. It's something that I tell people that it saved my life. It definitely saved my career because it was an outside passion besides work, and I can be a workaholic. By having scuba diving, planning trips, putting a deposit on it, dreaming of where I'm going to be going, the anticipation, give me something different from work. So it really helped me out. The other thing it did was it gave me a chance to, no pun intended, decompress, step away from work. And by stepping away from work, I was able to sit and look at the problems completely differently than when you're in the middle of the firefight. So through the whole book, every chapter starts off with a dive analogy. And the idea is how to visualize this from a different lens or a different perspective to where you're visualizing what the problem is or what the information is. Then I get into the key concept about what we're talking about. Some of it will be people development, how to improve inventory turns, why forecasting, how you should not depend on forecasting and look at compressing your lead time, et cetera, et cetera. Those are some of the key concepts. Then I get into what is a dive master briefing. The dive master briefing is a case study, a practical learning of real life examples. I changed the names of all the people to friends and family instead of the clients. That way we keep anonymity. However, it's a little bit of fun within my family and friends to see their name. The third part, another part, is a dive log. And that's my commentary where I add some other nuggets of information from what I've learned along the way. Then there at the end, what I have is a buddy check, and that is just making sure that you have an interactive learning and you've picked up key points. The last part of each chapter is what I call Art's Deep Dive, and that's key concepts, takeaways, and a call to action to where there's 3 to 5 different things that you can walk away from from that chapter that you can go do immediately that will be able to help your supply chain, your organization, and your career. Okay, so that's pretty much the rundown within that part of it. An element of how the book is written, I feel it's written for supply chain practitioners to walk away with concepts that they reinforce what they already know, add a little bit of insight on somebody that's been around the block a few times, made some mistakes, some successes, how to apply some things differently for the supply chain practitioner, and also for CEOs, CFOs, people outside of supply chain to where they know what questions to ask the supply chain team to where they can help the team succeed better, get their voice heard, and actually hold them accountable, be accountability partners. So that's a big part of the first element. What you're seeing behind me is what I call Art Koch's profit chain model. And this is a methodology that I've worked to develop through my career. And it comes from the College of Hard Knocks of trying to put together how do we get the message across, get people to understand how things fit into buckets, and how we turn supply chain into a profit center, into a cost center. So the very there's three main parts I have, but there's a top and bottom I want to spend a little bit of time talking about before I jump into the three main parts. The very bottom here is what I call the functional foundation. And that part is what is taught in universities. And I've worked to I try to talk with university professors on a regular basis to see what's happening in schools. And what happened with me when I have my degree in supply chain, or many years ago, materials and logistics management, before they called it supply chain. But you had a core body of knowledge that was taught to you at university and through Apex or different certification programs. They do a great job of teaching you the fundamentals. However, there's a middle part, this middle part from here to here, that they don't have enough time to dig in to teach how to bridge what they teach you at this lower level to fill in the gap to where you can bridge what I call the pinnacle of sustainability. And the pinnacle of sustainability is you want to have loyal customers. You want to create a corporate culture where it is a company where people aspire to work for, where you get the best and brightest and you retain them. Then you want to have profit. You want to have EBITDA. You want to have a sustainable profit that is recognized within the industry as being the best within the industry. So you have this element that's taught in universities, which I call the functional foundation. Then at the top, you have the pinnacle of sustainability that we all try to reach to get to. In the middle is where the meat and potatoes are, and that is we have to apply the tools we're taught to where we can achieve this top part. These three elements here are what I have outlined in the book. In the middle section, I've built this as a house on purpose. The bottom is the cement foundation. In the next up is where you take and you have the bricks, and that's the people and processes, the people and process foundation. In the middle is where you erect the walls. That's the structural framework. And towards the top is the financial focal point. Within the book, there's different chapters, multiple chapters on these functions. And the idea is to take the foundation that you're taught in university or through certification programs with either Apex or the Professional Association of Purchasing Managers, how to bridge that to where you achieve the pinnacle of sustainability, which is where we all want to be, okay? And so what I recommend when you're going through my book, read chapters 1 and 2 first, okay? Chapter 1 is what we're talking about here. Chapter 2 is professionalism within supply chain. Then I would recommend reading chapters 3 through 20 in sequential order. However, you can jump around based on what your needs are and what your requirements are. I do feel 1 through 12 build upon one another. However, if you need to jump around, it's not going to be a problem. All right. The last part is I'm a scuba diver. I love scuba diving. There's analogies that go from scuba diving to business. I hope you have fun with that. I know I did, and sometimes it was challenging. If you have a passion outside of work, I highly recommend that you start jotting down the relationship between your passion outside of work. It could be rock climbing, it could be skiing, it could be boating, sailing. There's all of those, you have key core competencies that you got to learn to make sure you're successful within that hobby or that maybe a competition you have if you're a racer in any form of aspect, and how it relates to work. And for me, it allowed my work to become more successful. All right, sound good? So I just have one last thing. On a count of 3, let's jump in and have some fun and scuba dive. So 1, 2, 3, let's go. Thank you. Have a great day, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to hearing about how much you enjoyed my book. Thank you.